Cars 3, the redemption of the franchise, the one that will surely shoot the franchise back into public adoration. Or really just public, yeah, that was okay. I guess I might as well go over the first two movies for a bit, seeing how the first one has a lot of nostalgic weight for me. I mean, I'll never forget seeing this with my dad on opening weekend, and then every other week after that with my summer camp. From what I remember, the first Cars was okay. Is it great? Not really. I mean, the story is pretty formulaic, and the world makes absolutely no sense because they never truly bothered to explain much. The one thing that always bugged me is that some cars in the movie were obviously licensed cars, like with Sally and Fillmore, but like 80% of the other cars were just random, which drives me crazy just thinking about it. Is it like plastic surgery? A tattoo? A costume? Like, stuff like that really frustrated me. However, it was a very enjoyable movie nonetheless. I mean, while it is predictable, it's at least not necessarily convoluted, and has some very nice moments. Most of the characters are pretty okay, and it has morals about slowing down and enjoying life, which is not something I have seen any other kids film do. So, is it Pixar's worst? Hell no. That honor goes to the sequel.
Mater?
I think we bit off more than we could chew.
Cars 2 is the dictionary definition of a cash grab. It is such a poorly made, scotch taped together piece of work that it is pathetic. We go from a nice movie about taking your time to enjoy life to a stupid spy film with Mater as the main star.
Like a good neighbor, Mater is there.
Listen, we enjoyed Mater in small doses. We do not want to see him as the main character unless it's in a spin-off movie or something. I mean, that'd be like if with Aladdin 2, they shifted the focus to Iago. In addition to the lead character being terrible, the story is twice as predictable as the original, the characters are beyond an original, and the big twist near the end makes absolutely no sense. Why would this guy create alternative fuel to show why alternative fuel is dangerous? Like, it's just, this movie's absolute nonsense. And somehow Cars 3 has made me hate the second one even more, especially because this would have been a pretty alright follow-up to the first movie. After winning plenty of races, Lightning McQueen's life is soon turned upside down, literally, when the competition gets a major upgrade, making him and his fellow racers obsolete. Now, to try and get back into the race, he trains with a gun-ho trainer named Cruz Perez to show that, well, I'll just let him take this.
I decide when I'm done.
But if you're aware that the Cars films are basically just Pixar's excuses to print money, you'll know how this ends, especially when they keep rubbing in Doc Hudson's backstory. I mean, it's actually kind of interesting how quite a bit of this film is just paying a tribute to Doc, because I recall when Cars 2 was coming out, I recall reading how Pixar was trying to avoid mentioning him most of the time so that, quote, they don't have to explain to crying kids how or why Doc dies. Here, they could pretty much care less if your kid cries. And honestly, God bless them for that. But still, there is that problem where you catch on to exactly how this film's going to play out when you dive into his backstory a bit more. And you know, this film actually made me notice a pattern with these Pixar sequels and prequels that were made after Disney bought them. Toy Story 3, easily the best out of these sequels and prequels, is still an obvious copy of Toy Story 2. Cars 2 is in its own lane of terrible. Monsters University is a mediocre copy of other college movies. Finding Dory is in its own lane of mediocre. And Cars 3 is mirroring the first movie's plot. So I guess at this rate, The Incredibles 2 will be in its own lane of okay, I guess. But yeah, the unoriginal story isn't the only thing that weighs the film down. It's the way too brisk pacing and so happy barf ending that really drops this film down quite a bit. It feels like the movie moves too quick through everything, so you can never really slow down and take everything in. Ironic considering the moral of the first movie. And oddly enough, while I usually complain about incredibly long runtimes, I kind of wish they'd made a movie at least like 2 hours long. Maybe just because that's the normal runtime for me, but I feel as though we could have had a lot more character development to make these sad and shocking moments that much more poignant. The characters in here range from either decent to interesting. The main cast is okay, except for Mater, who is just grating now.
Oops, hold on, gotta sneeze.
Though give him credit, the writers obviously caught on after the backlash from the sequel, and he's not in this film much, but that still doesn't make every scene he's in less eye-rolling. The lead female character is okay, I guess. Her story is kind of cliche, but it is satisfying to see her get her reward in the end. The antagonist is pretty much a non-threat at this point, like he's really weak. With Chick Hicks in the first movie, he was a crazy, egotistical cheater, and it was legit satisfying to see him get shunned by everybody at the end. I mean, here Jackson Storm is as interesting as this gallon of apple cider. Plus, as soon as he loses, that's like the last we see of him. We should see this man lose his mind, throw a tantrum, do something. I mean, how good do you think the ending to Toy Story 2 would have been if we just never saw the Prospector or Big Al get their just desserts? Like, it would have felt lacking, which is what this ending ends up being. Then we have Lightning's new mentor, aka Diet Doc. And that's all I have to say about him, really. Finally, we have the big CEO that sponsors Lightning and, surprise, turns out to be a jerk. Wow, a multimillionaire being a jerk in a Cars movie? I have never seen that. All in all, Cars 3 is a pseudo return to form for the franchise, though I don't know how good that sounds considering the franchise was only okay to begin with, but ultimately plays it way too safe for my taste. Like Cars, just quit before you embarrass yourself again. Just go out on this generally mediocre note. Pixar and Disney, cool it with the sequels. Like, try something new. Please, like someone, really. Please give me another animated movie that I can talk about, please, because this was disappointingly short, like any other movie.